If 100 people who listen to heavy metal are obese, that means the music made them obese. But that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Welcome to another episode from Takedowns to Breakdowns with A&P, and today we're going to be talking about something that has been hitting the airwaves this year. A news report that came out of England saying that heavy metal makes people fat. Now, I think there might be some weight into this because great things have come out of England. When was the last time they steered us in the wrong direction? I mean, they've given us Brexit, fish and chips, Coronation Street. What else have they given us? I'm sure
the Premier League.
The only reason the Premier League is good is because of all the foreigners that play there. Let's face the freaking facts.
Also, the big companies or the big investors that have bought.
They're all foreigners.
Yeah.
All right. So scrape the
The
Premier
foreigners
League.
have made the Premier League better.
So scrape the Premier League. So, but fish and chips for sure. I think we can go with that. Brexit and, like I said, Coronation Street. These are the three of the greatest exports.
That's a trifecta right there. Coronation Street, Brexit, and fish and chips.
Doesn't say more British than that. The only thing that says more British than that is a person with bad teeth.
Yeah.
Talking about those three different things. That's the only way you can get more British than that. But anyways, somebody thought it was a good idea. And how the hell do you do a study about heavy metal making people obese? Like, you start off with skinny people and you make them listen to heavy metal for a month and you see how much weight they gain?
Yeah, that makes...
How do you make that assessment?
Or do you just go outside and ask people who like heavy music?
I know, but just because you're obese and you listen to heavy metal, it doesn't mean that you were not obese when you started listening to heavy metal and you became obese afterwards.
I was fat before I listened to heavy metal, and guess what? I'm still fat now.
Yeah, it's not like we started...
You've changed, but you've changed for the better, because...
I've kind of had my ups and downs.
Because when we started the channel, you didn't have the big beard, and you kind of looked like very, very, very skinny.
No, but when I started my path into heavy metal, I was more into thrash, and at that time I was a little bit bigger. But then I went through a softer part of my metal experience where I started listening to more hard rock
and Black Veil Brides, and
Black Veil Brides, and I started losing some weight, and then I got back into gaining a little bit of weight because I got back into the Slayers. I got back into.
But you look healthier now.
Yeah, I think when I was thinner, I didn't look very healthy.
No.
Even though I was, I mean, there was nothing.
You were
wrong.
Technically healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was probably healthier then than I am now. But we're digressing.
Thrash saved your life.
We're digressing here. The point is, how do you assess that metal is what caused the person to gain weight? You would, the only way you can make that leap
is that you take like 20 people in a room and
20? You gotta take more than... What kind of study group? It's 20.
Okay, but you have to take a certain amount of people in a room and then make them listen to heavy metal for a long period of time.
And see if they gain weight.
And see if they gain weight because of it. Because I don't think I intake calories from listening to heavy metal.
No, you know what I think they did? I think they looked at people who listen to heavy metal and how do they look like. And perhaps the people that they looked at, they were obese. So they assumed, hey, if 100 people who listen to heavy metal are obese, that means the music made them obese. But that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Because you need to know what the starting point was.
Yeah.
What the hell were they listening to before? And how did they look like before?
Exactly. If they were obese before heavy metal, then if they're obese now, it's not because of the music.
Yeah, it's not like you were like 200 pounds when you started listening to heavy metal, and now you're one of those dudes in the 600-pound life on TLC. It's not like the heavier the music, the more weight you gain. That's also not the case.
The heavier the metal, the heavier you
get. So it's like, you start off with, hard rock, like you're listening to, let's say, Avenged Sevenfold, you listen to Nirvana, you're wearing some flannels and whatever, and next thing you know, you're wearing stretchy pants and you're 400 pounds. Because now you're listening to Slayer?
And deathcore.
And yeah. Like,
deathcore is definitely... If this was a real thing, deathcore, that's how you get on my 600-pound life.
First of all, I don't know who hired these people to do a study. That's the first question that needs to be... Like, who the hell cares? So who hired them for that? What kind of study is this? And why does it even make the news? Because there's no validity behind it.
It also doesn't help us whatsoever. Like, it doesn't help the human race whatsoever. Doing this study literally was just a big waste of time.
That's how most of these studies are.
A lot of these studies are big waste of time. Like, I don't care. To be honest, I don't care even if this study was true, which it definitely isn't. Like, why would I care? Are you going to stop listening to heavy metal? I wouldn't stop listening to heavy metal.
I know, but by that theory, eventually you would blow up. Because like if you start listening to heavy metal at 12 and you're starting to reach 50, 55, what? Holy shit. Like, you know, you're not going to fit in the house if you're going to continue to gain weight.
And that's how it is. If that's how it is, that's how it is.
It just doesn't make any sense. And in the part that makes even less sense is that somebody thought that this was newsworthy and put it out there. Because it just doesn't make... It's a ridiculous concept. It's a ridiculous way of thinking. And it comes down to people who don't like the music, who don't understand the music.
And want to put the music down.
Exactly. Trying to find reasons to ostracize the listeners of that music, make them feel bad, and say, listen, the reason why you look the way you do is because you listen to that music.
But it makes no sense. And that's the problem with the world we live in, where if someone doesn't like something, they try to do their very best to make the people who like that thing stop liking it.
I think you can make an argument that listening to heavy metal changes who you are in terms of how you dress, of how you perceive the world, or like your hairstyle, or your fashion. All of those things are like, if they said, oh, people who listen to heavy metal are more likely to wear black, I would be like, oh yeah, that's fucking true.
Yeah, but you didn't have to do a study for it. You could.
You don't have to be a fucking rocket scientist.
Also, I don't think there's any metalhead who would disagree with you. I think they all, if that's the case, we're all scientists here because we all know that.
But what I'm saying is that is something that you can actually like put some proof behind it. So I know music changes who you are as an individual. Because you start to feel like you belong to a certain tribe, so you start to dress a certain way, you start to look. And what I mean by look, I don't mean your weight. I mean look like visually. Like letting your hair grow, letting your beard grow, whatever the case might be. Like I know, like I had friends that were really into grunge, so they start wearing flannel shirts all the time and what. So I can see that.
And some people actually gain a lot of knowledge because the lyrics in certain songs, you learn from them.
Yeah, there's something to be said about the poetry and the lyrics of the songs and all. I think you can make a case for all of that. Gaining weight, not one of them.
Yeah, like...
It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, when I'm listening to Slayer, I'm also not chugging down a tub of ice cream. It's just, those two things don't really go together.
Yeah, I'm too busy headbanging.
I'm too fucking busy enjoying fucking Slayer to be eating ice cream.
Like, I don't understand.
It's not like I'm in the house, right?
Yeah.
And Behemoth comes on and I'm like, fuck, I want some Oreos.
I want a Joe Louis.
I want a Joe Louis or some Oreos.
Yeah.
And I want to chase it down with a Coke. Not even diet, because that's for posers. A real Coke with all the calories, all the fixes. Never happens. Never happens. And if you look at the metal bands themselves, the body mass of the people in these bands is really widespread.
Yeah.
It's all over the spectrum.
The metal community is a very diverse community.
It is. And actually, another thing that we have to address is that while there is a lot of big people who listen to heavy metal, I don't think the two are correlated at all. Because we addressed this in a previous video about the fat tax. How bands charge more for shirts that are bigger. So there's definitely a lot more fans of heavy music that are big. It's specifically with certain bands, right? Certain bands will have a bigger demographics, and certain bands will have a smaller demographics, if you will. So there is some truth to that, but I don't think that the person got to that body mass because they were listening to the music to begin with.
I think they were just always like that.
Yeah. Like, you've always been the way you are. I've always kind of been the way I am. It's not because of... It's
because we're lazy.
Like, I'll tell you one thing. I didn't get any dates in high school because of heavy metal, but it had nothing to do with my weight. It just had to do with me.
That's sad, dude, but, like, yeah, it makes sense.
No, because nobody... Like, I didn't have a lot of friends that listened to metal, so I was kind of, like, a little bit... I did have friends, but they're all guys. And I wasn't playing for my team at the... You know what I mean? Like, not that there's anything wrong with it, but that was just not my thing.
Yeah.
So the girls at that time kind of looked... Once again, it goes back to look the way you're dressed... black shirts, long hair,
for that.
And they judge you based on your appearance, which is exactly what this study is doing, is judging people based on the music taste and their appearance.
Also, I thought the world we're living in now, we've
moved beyond this?
I thought we've moved beyond this. I thought the world we're living in now, we're trying to be more inclusive of the plus size community. So
I know, but this is a study coming out of England. I don't think the people in England...
That's
they're for Brexit. I don't think people in England are moving past beyond judging other people on anything.
The people in England were doing a thing about fat people on the metal making people fat. That's friendly fire, man. That is friendly fire. Because they got some fat people there too, so... And I'm telling you now, they probably don't listen to metal. So.
Or maybe they do.
Or maybe they do.
And maybe that's how they got to
oh,
this.
Fuck.
Maybe that's how they got. Maybe every person who's overweighted in England listens to heavy metal and they came to the conclusion.
Then I want to be their friend. I want to be all of their friends.
I know. Me too.
We have to band together.
We have to unite.
We need a union.
We need a union of what? Of obese metalheads?
Metalheads.
Are you going to be the president?
This union won't make it far, dude.
I think me and you, we can be the president and vice president, so that way we can tip the scales.
Ah, yes.
On that note, guys, we'll see you at the next video.
See ya.